Hello, we're live.
Oh, we are?
Yes,
If you say so.
it's here. Hello, everybody. Boy, the camera seems a little distant. Bring him in a little bit. There we go. Hey, everybody. It's Mark and Gary here at
Social distance at pitch mode.
Gary's Guitars. Yeah.
Okay.
You're not supposed to look at that. Look at the
Well,
camera.
I can, it's getting our distancing good.
Yeah, well, I have the antibodies
I
and
know.
the shots.
I got boosters.
And you got the booster, so we're hopefully
3
staying
shots.
safe.
It's good for Omicron, I heard this morning.
Oh,
It's
okay.
the latest drug company advice. Of course, you know what side they're on.
All right, but you're not here for drug company advice. Yeah, you're here for guitar advice. Buy more guitars. That's the secret. That will keep you safe.
Stay home and play guitar. Yeah, right. That makes sense.
Yeah, just that's what we did 2 years ago, and it worked out great.
Guitars are really bad at transmitting diseases.
Unless you share them. Yeah.
Well,
All right, anyways, Gary's Guitars. That's Gary. I'm Mark. We're here for a weekly question and answer, hangout, talk about stuff session. Usually lasts about an hour. We have a pretty fun host of friends stop by and say hello from all over the world.
yeah, TJ was great last week.
And we tell you, TJ was our guest host last week, and that was great. And that helped. It's going to remind you, if you live in the Portsmouth, New Hampshire area, you should sign up for that clinic
Saturday,
we're talking
right?
about this Saturday. TJ is going to give a clinic and a show,
Across
talk
the
about
street.
blues. Yeah, at the
Right over there.
WSCA. Anyways, the details are on our Facebook page and Instagram, but also just send a message if you're interested in learning about guitar and blues and jazz.
He knows
and
most
TJ.
everything.
Yeah, he's lived the life, man.
Yeah.
So, and Dub Delay's here. Hello. And
Dub Delay.
everyone else. So as you kind of come in, just chime in and say hi, just so we
Right.
know you're out there. And then ask questions in the chat, and we will get to what you want to talk about. And we'll get to what we want to talk about, if we want to talk about anything. Do you have any topics?
Oh, my mind is. I just spent 2 hours completely rewiring with all new electronics, guitar, and was checking it as I went, and everything
Mhm.
seemed to be fine, and I got it all done, and the switch wouldn't work in one position. In the middle, the pickup worked. In the other
Mhm.
position, it's a bad switch, and it's gold, of course, so
Yeah.
we don't have another one laying.
Yeah,
around.
bad switch. It took you like an hour of diagnosis to figure out
Yeah,
the
like,
switch was bad.
What's
So,
going
because you're
on?
blaming yourself. What'd I do? It just came new out of the package. Yeah.
Well, I traced, all the connections. It's this right. That's right. That's
You
right. That's
tested
right.
it. Take out the switch and test it.
Except when you do this, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So order a new switch.
All
Put it away
right.
for now. So that's the time I might normally think about, what are we going to talk about today? I'm thinking
Well,
about,
here's
what
something I
the
want to
hell?
talk about, because it's just on everyone's mind lately. So, because it's the beginning of December 2021, the Beatles Get Back movie just happened. The 3-part series just came out. I watched it. You watched it? Have you
No,
watched the
we
whole thing?
watched it all. Yeah, slogged through it.
I
Second half
enjoyed
was fun.
every
The
minute.
First half
The
was
very
torture.
first episode was slow and torturous, but there was some drama. It was well built. It's an improvement over the Let It Be movie that was
Yeah.
the most disappointing of Beatle movies.
Yes. Yeah.
Somber and just really dark looking. Like the lighting was. They managed to they restored the film, but they also kind of
Well, the
touch the
original
colors.
one was made for TV.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
So it was not the highest quality.
Yeah, 16 millimeter, and so they upsampled that, and they upsampled some of the audio too.
Right. Oh yeah, the audio's way.
Chris
better.
Lammy's here. It was a long 8 hours. So Chris watched. I guess he watched the Beatles thing. Chris Tacato says, I was wondering if you guys were going to chat about that. It's a cool thing to talk about because I like the Beatles,
I do too.
and I like the Beatles gear.
We were just talking about that. Mark said, "Let's talk about the guitars." Like, okay, which ones do I like?
Yeah, no, I was like, I'll talk about how much I like the Hoffner, and you can talk about how much you don't like the Hoffner.
Yeah,
And then I'll talk about the Rickenbacker, and you can tell everyone you hate Rickenbackers. And then the Rickenbacker 330, the Rickenbacker bass you hate, the Rickenbacker 330 John Lennon guitar,
The
probably
Epiphone.
hate it.
Right. The
But the one you like
the
is the
Richter
Epiphone, yeah.
Yeah.
The Epiphone Casino, though, and that was the
That's
star
a
of the
great
show
guitar.
in that movie because it's a
Great
great
guitar.
guitar. John was playing it the whole time.
Yeah.
And when John was leaving after George quit, he said, and Paul was all nervous. He goes, "I'm going to leave my favorite guitar here. I'm coming back." Or there's one day when John didn't show up and they talked on the phone and whatever, and it was really tense. And so I'm leaving my favorite guitar here, so I'm coming back.
Was Billy Preston playing his Epiphone in that one short scene where he was?
No, he was playing the Fender Bass 6.
Oh,
that's
right.
another
He was
thing. Yeah,
playing the
so
Bass 6.
John wasn't there. They were jamming on Old Brown Shoe, and Billy Preston was playing the Bass 6, the only right-handed bass in the room.
Right.
And so Bass 6 is a hot topic lately, too, because we've been selling the Squire Bass 6.
Right.
And they're cool.
Yeah.
And for what they do, they're as cool as the Fender one. Because
as we all saw, they're great in the studio.
Yeah, they're
Guitar player can
endlessly
pick it
handy.
up and play some chords and play some bass lines.
Yeah.
Outside the studio, they seem to be fairly limited.
Yeah, they're not a replacement for the bass outside the studio, but it's for a guitar player who wants to play bass. If you want to play baritone guitar, I always say you actually want to play the Bass 6. The baritone guitar has 5 notes that your guitar doesn't.
Right.
So if you think of it that way, you're just transposing all day long playing the baritone. But the Bass 6 is an octave down from the guitar. It's a little larger, for those of you who don't know, a little larger than the guitar.
Halfway between a guitar and a bass.
Yeah, and tuned like a bass.
Right.
And yeah, they made use of that when John or George was playing bass. They often use that. Mm-hmm. There's some pictures of George with a jazz bass too on Abbey Road. George played some bass, and yeah, let's talk about the gear. Let me check in with the. I've not watched it yet. The Rolling Stones beat the Beatles, in my opinion. Well, okay, sure. Was John's Epiphone made in Kalamazoo? So John's Epiphone was.
Well, that was 69.
Yeah, that would be.
It's way before Asian Epiphones.
Yeah, but Epiphones never went to Nashville. They just went to Asia. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that would be a Kalamazoo made. So for those of you who don't know, Gibsons and Epiphones for a while were a
competition.
Well, they were competition, and then they were both owned by Gibson.
Yeah, Gibson bought out Epiphone because they didn't want the competition, and they made roughly equivalent guitars.
Yeah, on the two sides, kind of like whatever Chrysler and Dodge, yeah, whatever, yeah. So the one parent company, 2 brands, and 2 nearly identical products.
Right. Yep. And for a while, they just kept making Epiphones under the Epiphone name. I don't know if they did it at the Epiphone plant or no. The Epiphone plant was in New York.
Yeah, the original one. Yeah, or New Jersey or New York. Yeah.
What's his face? Our friend from Portland.
There's a lot of friends in Portland.
Old guy, been around forever.
Val.
When he was,
he had
story when he was 9. His first interest in guitars. He lived in Brooklyn, I think it was, and down the street from the Epiphone plant.
Yeah,
and he'd go sneak in the back door, and they'd let him hang out all day and watch him make guitars, and that's when he got fascinated.
Well, we do eulogize friends here, and that's we had to, I guess, spend a second talking about Val. For those who remember Val, he was a guitarist.
Val Molyneux.
Yes, in the Portland area, taught a lot of people how to play guitar.
Yes.
Professional teacher.
But also took lessons. Interesting.
Also took lessons from Woody, our teacher.
He was not afraid to keep learning. At 70 to whatever.
Something. Yeah, he was 80 something.
Maybe in his 80s.
He passed away. Yeah. Nice guy.
Yeah.
Old fashioned, a vintage dude. Had a wad of cash in his pocket. Drove a Cadillac.
Rubber band around.
Or whatever. Drove a big old car.
Bucks.
Yeah.
Rubber band back in pocket.
Yeah.
But and he had the guitars. The Super 400. He had a Gibson harp guitar. I mean, these are the standouts, but he had the guitar.
Oh, actually, back to the Beatles, because Chris just mentioned, not Chris, Chris Lammy mentioned Paul's Casino had the cooler headstock. So
John's.
because Paul had a casino. They each had a casino in the Rubber Soul Revolver time.
Oh.
I think they each had one. Paul had a converted one, so it was actually the controls in the wrong place.
Right.
I think he liked when the control, because he had a converted Martin too. I think he liked his guitar to look weird, other than the Hoffner.
Yeah, yeah. I've known other
Um,
lefties. They grew up playing upside down guitars, and that's
Yeah.
what felt right.
Yeah,
What
right.
are the
Yeah.
controls doing down
Yeah.
here? It's supposed to be up
Yeah,
here.
the Bigsby's on the wrong side. You know,
Reach over
obviously.
this way.
So Paul had a Bigsby. I mean, he had the Bigsby on his Epiphone. And interestingly enough, about John's Epiphone is he painted it psychedelic, and then he stripped it.
Oh,
So that's a
right.
natural Epiphone with no finish
That's when
on it.
George did the Strat too.
George painted his Strat, and John painted his Casino.
Right.
They took LSD and painted their guitars.
Right.
Apparently,
I remember that story. Well, the striking guitar in the documentary, we'll call it.
Yes.
Which I asked you about. Somewhere not early on in it, Paul's playing a Hoffner bass with two chrome covered, look like humbuckers, but
Big
maybe
pickups.
P90s.
Yeah.
One in the neck, one in the middle, not one in the bridge and one in the neck, which I'd never seen it. I thought he had it customized, but Mark said, no, that's
Paul had
his
several.
first Hoffner
That was
bass.
the Cavern Hoffner.
Yeah.
That was before he got a good Hoffner. That one was I believe they used it on Please Please Me. Because someone, I think it was, one of the early, maybe Norman Smith, one of the early engineers, when Paul came in, they said his bass was screwed up. They had to fix it so he could play it, and there's something wrong with it. But so it was backwards. So yes, Paul had that other, which had a different paint job too. He played that a little bit in the movie. He played the Hoffner he's known with the set list still on it.
Right.
From the last show at Shea Stadium. And which is still on it, I think. He leaves that on there.
Last I checked, it was still on it. Yeah.
Last time it was in here. Yeah, Paul.
Starting to the Scotch tape's getting a little ratty there, Paul.
Yeah, you might want to get a new set list.
So
on
did
there.
they? That was like an early version of it, and then they stopped with those pickups, and then did the traditional neck bridge.
Yeah, they have the neck bridge.
Okay.
Hoffner, interestingly enough, because I'm a bit of a Hoffner fan, we sell them here at the store, and they didn't know what they were doing. That's why their bass is so distinctly different than other. They were a bass maker where they really knew what they're doing. They made basses, like upright basses, for generations.
Right.
And then they decided we better make one of these electric basses because people, Fender kind of invented the electric bass. But they're like, we should make one too.
Yeah.
And they just took a bass and shrunk it down. And then, they did the best they could.
Yeah.
And the pickup positions and pickup design changed over the years.
Right.
Well,
if anybody's really interested, Rick Beato, Professional Musicians React.
Oh yeah, right.
Another YouTube channel did a reaction to this documentary, and Leland Sklar, one of the great all-time, probably the most prolific bass player of all time, is one of the guest panelists, and he loves Paul McCartney. But I loved his statement. Paul's the only one could get a great sound out of that instrument. It really is crap. Okay. That's why I hate it, because I can't get a good sound out of it.
Paul played the what requires a different. I believe, because I didn't play a Fender bass before Hoffner. I played the Hoffner bass first.
Yeah.
And then I sucked on a Fender bass. So it just requires a different touch,
I guess.
And if you learn on the Fender bass and then you start playing the Hoffner bass, you're going to just mangle it a bit.
Right.
But also the Rickenbacker is a little. You don't like Rickenbacker
Well,
basses?
that's totally personal. It stems from a nightmare studio experience.
Oh, where someone made you play a Rickenbacker.
Made me play the Rickenbacker, which was unplayable for 4 hours. By the end, I never wanted to see a Rickenbacker.
So
again.
Chris Lamy mentioned that Paul's Epiphone had the Gibson headstock. Maybe because it was left-handed or something. I don't know. That's weird. Because Chris was the one. He said he had to research a bunch of Beatle gear because of for the auction house.
Right.
So
didn't know that.
The Hoffner needs flats, in my humble opinion. Yes and no. This is a little controversial for me too. Because I have, but I mostly 80%, 90% round wounds on the Hoffner. Yeah. Here's why. Because you can make round wounds kind of sound like a flat wound, but if you're at a gig where you got to play, you just show up, with a bass and you got to play it, you need the round wounds on the Hoffner because you're not going to hear it. If you got the flat ones on the Hoffner, that is just so oomph, and so I used to use mine for most gigs before I had as many basses as I have now, and sometimes you need a little garbage. You need to slam the thing about if you want to get the Fender sound on the Hoffner, you need round strings, and you just got to really make a clanging noise with the strings, because that's the mid range, that upper mid that you miss on the Hoffner that the Fender has. That's why the Fender has that voice it has.
Yeah, it's an answer to the perennial question from bass players. Should I try flat wounds?
Yeah.
I said, sure. Oh, definitely.
Try
You should try them.
Yeah.
What are they going to sound like? Well, totally different.
Mm-hmm.
And but ultimately you can kind of make round wounds sound like flat wounds, but you can't make flat wounds sound like round wounds.
Yeah.
So you may come back to the rounds just for the versatility.
And in the movie, Paul had the had tape wound.
That's right.
They had nylon strings on the Hoffner, and that was
was that G? Well, I remember for years you were addicted to those GHS.
I used
wounds.
GHS, yeah.
Those were the flats, though.
Yeah. But I actually come to use Ernie Ball strings. Oddly enough, Paul has also come to use Ernie Ball strings.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. He officially uses Ernie Balls now.
Don't I seem to remember you got. Was
the problem
it 5
is,
years?
The problem is I changed them so seldomly that I could never remember what strings I liked when I came back to buy more. It took several 5 years.
Once.
Yeah.
Oh, the last because I gave you a used set or something.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember. No, I remember coming in and go like, "Hey, I need bass strings." I guess I used the Darios because I used the Darios on an electric. So the Darios, and you're like, okay. I took them home, put them on, played it for a minute. These things suck. took them off, put the old ones in a boiling pot of water.
Right.
They cleaned them up a little, stretched them back a little, put them back on, played them for another 2 years.
Right. Yeah.
But
Jamie Jamerson's story.
Yeah. Chris Tacato asked, how much will you be altering what you order for the store in 2022? That's an interesting, because someone also asked what we have that's interesting in the store. We'll get to that too. What alters? So yes, what's changing for the future of ordering stuff?
Well, it's not really up to you at this point.
Yeah, it's what they'll ship to me.
When people ask for things and you're not here, I say, well, I think we have pretty much everything is on order.
Yeah.
and things show up, but we don't know what it's going to be most of the time. So eventually everything will show up.
Yeah.
But we have no idea when.
It's interesting because we're in a business that is rapidly changing.
You were just talking about the new A&Ls the other day.
Yeah. Oh, and I guess I got to say it. We got to come out about it because we're so proud that the Godin family guitars are made au Canada and only au Canada. But now they have introduced their first Asian-made guitar. It's an Art and Lutherie line guitar. It's the Roadhouse. They made a few of the smaller body guitars. They're having them made in Asia and to their spec, of course, and they're probably going to be great. We ordered some because we also sell the Tetons quite a bit, also an Asian-made guitar.
Very similar construction.
Yep. So I said, well, okay, we'll buy a couple, we'll give them a spin. But this is a big change for the Godin family.
Right.
Because
they were about 20 years ago they came out. They were the low-end Godin Seagull.
The Art and Lutherie?
Yeah. We were taking the Seagull line and making a cheaper version of it. Still solid tops, but the wood is not as good. As it was explained to me once, we take the really good wood, goes on the solid wood series, the high-end, the professional models. The fine wood goes on the regular Seagulls, and the wood that's still fine but doesn't look so good will go on the Art Lutheries. That's why you rarely see an unpainted Art Lutherie, because the wood is not as attractive, but they insist it's still just as good.
The quality is good. Yeah, they
just it might have
test all the tops. Yeah,
but now that's going to be Asian, and I presume the prices will go down a titch.
A little bit, yeah. Right, yeah. It's gonna make it a little more affordable,
right?
Because the Art Lutherie prices will be creeping up, and all the prices are everything's creeping up. 109 is the new 99. Anything that used to be $99 is now $109.
Yeah,
and then it just goes from there.
Well, the one Beatles guitar that's very famous that we haven't mentioned is the Mahogany Telly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mahogany Telly, because this actually Chris Lemmy just said in the chat. he was mentioning that they had a Leslie and Get Back, and George was playing the Mahogany Telly through the Leslie speaker.
It looked like there were 4 or 5 Leslie boxes brought in.
Because what happened was what it was.
Another new Leslie.
Yeah. Well, no, they brought in a new one, the new 700
the
series.
big guy.
With the controller, preamp controller, so that George could play guitar through it.
Right.
That one in that corner was George's to play guitar through.
Right.
They brought in a Lowry organ that may or may not have had a Leslie. But then when Billy Preston came in one day walked a Hammond and Leslie paired up already.
Yeah.
That looked like a 145 or something.
Yeah.
But they kept bringing organs into the room, it's a small enough room, but yes, that was the famous. That was when CBS Musical Instruments bought Fender, and they bought Leslie, and they were able to make a synergy there, making the guitar Leslie from Fender, and first making the adapter to play a guitar through a Leslie, which before, when the Beatles sang or played through a Leslie, someone had to cut open a Leslie cable and tap into it and get and run the speeds on the organ or whatever. It was really hacked together.
What we used to do was you just take that crappy amp out, throw it away, put a plug on the end of the speakers, and plug your Fender Bassman into it.
Yeah, or Rosewood Telly. Did I say Mahogany Telly?
Did I say Rosewood? It's Mahogany.
No, it's Rosewood.
No, it's Rosewood.
Yeah.
That's right. Which, if I remember right, didn't George custom order it or something? It was just made for
Could be. There weren't many.
Or they made it for
They
him.
made it for it. So Fender
And it's a set
had a
neck,
great
I think.
idea. I don't know if that was a set neck. Well,
They
that's a good
reissued
question.
it, and I've seen it before, but
they have reissued it.
yeah, it's the George.
Fender had a great idea. They just gave the Beatles one of everything.
Yeah.
And they just happened to be setting up to do that film, and all of those amps are in the film, and the Fender Rhodes electric piano. They're all marveling over it, and the latest Fender Rhodes, because like John has one of these, but this one's better, And that Leslie speaker, the new Leslie 700 series, the Fender Twins, the Fender Bassman, which you'll remember throughout the film, Glenn Johns and George Martin are constantly trying to fix the bass sound.
Yes.
It's brought up a few times because everyone knows you shouldn't play bass through a Fender Bassman.
Right. Was that the 212 or 215 cab?
It could have been the 212.
Could have been either.
The 215 was more square because the 15s are offset, but the 212s are on top of each other. That's my memory.
I'm not sure, but could be the 12s, yes.
And then Chris says not a set neck. So he, on the Rosewood Telly.
It's not a set.
Yeah, I don't think it's a set neck. No. And then Chris was asking about my Leslie because I still have a 145. I bought it from Gary's Guitars in 1993.
Did it have an amp in it?
It had a mouse in it, a dead mouse.
Oh yeah.
And it had no
was it
amp
triggers?
because it used to be triggers.
Oh, with rip that.
Yeah, ripped the amp out. Tried to put a relay in it that kind of worked.
Right.
But so I ended up putting an amp back in it, the Leslie amp, and I took out the dead mouse too.
Probably paid like $150 for it or something.
It was $150, and it traded in a DoD digital delay.
Oh, that was worth nothing at the time.
No, the digital delay was worth a lot.
In 1993.
93. I think I got a good trade in for that.
Well, maybe a lot, $79.
No, it wasn't that. Yeah, no, what it was I paid $120 and gave you the DoD digital delay.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah,
so that was yeah. Anyways, I got the better end of that deal.
Okay.
I had to say.
Well, the documentary gear trivia question, because I don't think I saw a good enough picture of it, was what kind of lap steel was it?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Waiting, was that a Gibson?
No, that's good. It was tiny.
I kept seeing it from the side.
And it was painted.
So I wonder. Probably it's in the Beatle book or something. But
Chris Tacato bought the Model 45. Remember that from the old store?
The Fender Leslie?
No. The Model 45 is the 145 that doesn't have speed controls, off and on only.
But it has the horn.
It has the horn and it's wooden. And he still has that. And I guess Mark Steves made him a little thing that simulated the slow speed.
Right.
When George's Lucy 1957 Les Paul refinished, Les Paul slid and fell and said, "My guitar fell. I threw up." Hold on. Oh yes, with George's. Yeah, so George's guitar fell off an amp. He just leaned it up against something,
right.
and Chris was saying he threw up when he saw it
before
fall.
guitar stands.
And that's what I think Ringo was messing with it. No, that was I don't know. It fell because someone was. Maybe that's why he quit. Yes, he got no respect. So someone
didn't
asked,
touch it. I swear.
in the chat, someone's asked, what kind of guitars are the second and third guitars behind your right shoulder? So this is my right side. This is your.
He's probably talking about the Noventa. And
Yeah. So that's the
P90
Stratosonic, the classic P90 Strat that is really sought after and talked about. And then the Noventa version, the Strat Noventa, was 2 P90s, because we learned here from someone in the comments that Noventa means 90.
90, yes.
Yeah.
I
Did not know that.
This name.
I can't count to 90.
It's the Spanish word for 90.
I can only count to 3 because it's just from ordering tacos and taco trucks. But other than that, my Spanish is no bueno.
I have to think about it.
Yeah, it was pretty casual the way that, first of all, they still had one roadie, Mal Evans. And he was just moving everything by himself.
Yeah.
And just like picking up guitars and moving around. They're pretty casual.
He might be
about
the best roadie of all time. I mean, he's always in a good mood.
And it was like, Mal, give me a cup of tea. Mal, write this down.
Okay.
Mal, yeah.
He's writing.
Mal, what rhymes with? Yeah. He's giving Paul McCartney advice on lyrics. No, you should have standing there and not waiting, because you said, oh, okay.
I hope got to be a rich man at some point.
No, he didn't. He lived a tragic death young.
Oh, he did?
Yep.
Oh.
He died in 1976 in an altercation with the police.
Oh.
It is.
Oh, well, poor Mal.
The lap steel was a Hoffner.
Really?
5140 Hawaiian standard lap steel.
Is that Chris?
Nope, this is Barry. I don't know if we've met Barry.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. European made.
Yeah. So he out Googled Chris Lammy. The second and third. So this is Mark and Gary ask you to Google things for us. That's our new. Someone's asking, what's a 70s Hoffner bass worth these days?
70s.
Yeah, they're probably still all right. They cratered in the 80s. They relaunched in the 80s. I remember they had a big ad campaign.
Yeah, that's sort of when they came back.
Yeah. But anyways, the 70s ones should be okay. And they're all going for crazy money. The new ones are 2,000,
for the real
500.
German ones.
Yeah, the German made ones. 2,700.
61s last time I looked with 12 grand.
Oh, I don't know about that much, but yeah, the early 60s. The pre-Beatles and post-Beatles ones too. That's a big difference.
Yeah.
But they and no less than
But the 70s, who knows?
Okay. And let's catch up here with the chat. I think we're caught up with the chat. So also, we love to talk about Beatle gear, but ask us any questions about any gear. Bring up any topic you can. One question we had here a little earlier was, what do you have that's interesting in the store? And we have a few new and interesting things. Barry said, anything weird and interesting. 1933. What's that?
The Dean 12-string bass.
The Dean 12-string bass is the weirdest.
And interesting.
Yeah, the weirdest thing. Well, I won't show it to you. A 12-string bass from Dean. It has the fundamental note and 2 octaves.
Right.
And you have to play it aggressively to hit all 3 strings at the same time.
The last one we had,
that was the same one.
It was the same one.
Yeah.
Rob
Gary bought it.
He bought it, and he figured out pretty quickly, if you play it traditionally like this, plucking up with your fingers, it sounds more like a bass because you're mostly hearing that bass string and just barely touching the octave strings. But if you play with a pick, the strumming down,
all octave. Yeah.
Whoa! It sounds almost like a 12-string guitar with a bass in there somewhere.
Rob got it, did some experimenting on it, and then realized that Rob is like a bass. Bass player is bass player.
Yeah,
and he's got gigs, and you can't take that on a gig. Careful with that.
Yeah,
that's important.
It's begging me to move it, but.
Speaking of
say the 1933.
Oh yeah, 1933 Gibson LO is now on display in the store. We have a very early Wurlitzer 140 in the store. Definitely worth checking out.
I was tempted to check the pot date on it,
Yeah.
but it's not gonna. It's gonna take
It's
a while
tough
to
to
get
get
in there. I
inside,
was hoping there was
yeah.
like one screw, and
No, that's before they made them to be fixed.
but it's the 50s for sure.
It's the single speaker, no tremolo, 140, and it works fine.
So
and
is
looks
that
fine.
the first electric piano
Is it the
ever?
I think that's I heard the Pianette was the first.
Oh, that came out first. Oh,
Yeah.
The Hohner pianette.
Yeah.
The
Had no
often
sustain
neglected,
pedal.
but the
Yeah.
third.
But that's what Ray Charles used, and that's what the Beatles used on Help.
pianette.
All that, Pianette.
Yeah.
The night before. and all
Similar
that,
to
yeah.
the Wurlitzer, but you can hear the difference.
Yeah.
A little
Yeah.
more plinky. sound.
Also, no sustain pedal. You got to play them in
Right,
order.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember playing one.
Yeah, the famous intro into Pearl Jam's Jeremy. So you come to the store, pick up the 12-string bass, play the intro to Jeremy, and then you'll have that experience. So that's weird and interesting.
I think didn't Tom Peterson, Cheap Trick bass player?
Yeah, that was the Hamer. Someone said Hamer made a 12-string bass. That
He
was
played a lot of
that was the
12-string
first
bass.
one. Yeah.
Which
And this
in
is
a
a kind
trio
of tribute
makes
to that.
sense, I guess.
And then to catch up here on the chat.
I'm looking Reverend Bass. Got a nice
Reverend Bass, yeah.
We like those.
My lead singer knocked my Les Paul off a stand. It survived. Minutes later, she knocked it off again and broke the headstock. So I need a new stand or a new singer. Well, did you break her headstock after that?
Well, that gets at the sales pitches. You need the good guitar stand.
Yes. Do not use most guitar
The
stands.
yoke style stands with the swivels.
Yeah,
just
it's the
tempting
guitar
for-
launcher.
You
That's
are
what I
better
call it.
leaning it against your amp
Even
than
if it
putting
has the thing that goes across the front. No.
the whole thing's
It's a
going
guitar launcher. Don't get a multi-stand. I think most
over.
multi-stands,
Those are pretty bad.
because if you know,
Hanger stands are the best.
hanger stands are the best,
Big
and then we
tripod.
use the A-frame stands here because they're very low
Yeah,
profile
that's a second
and very
best.
sturdy. But with the ones with the long legs on it, do not cheap out on stands.
Right.
And yeah, it's Gibsons. They don't like to hit the floor.
Yeah.
They're not made to hit the floor.
They go down,
Fenders
they're
can
gonna
hit the
break.
floor. Yeah, if they're going to hit the floor, they're going to break. Don't bother picking it up.
Fortunately, headstock repairs are usually pretty simple.
On Gibsons, they usually can be repaired, but you'll always have the scar too.
Well, yeah.
Just like your lead singer will always have the
Somebody
scar.
called it the smiley face on the back.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Oh, it's got the smiley,
face.
yeah.
Yeah, it broke.
Okay, from a dealer shop perspective, what guitar companies are good to deal with and what are not good to deal with? I would say the Rickenbacker is not so easy. Yes, Rickenbacker is not so easy. Would not want to deal with them.
So have you
Their
tried?
guitars are expensive. Well, anytime we talked to them was about like trying to get like a part or something.
Oh, yeah, they're awful.
They just don't want to give out parts at all. They don't want to talk to you on the phone. They don't want their guitars cost a lot of money.
And there's a year-long waiting list or so
Probably, yeah.
for anything.
Yeah. So it's run by surfers in California, dude. They don't want your money, dude. They just want to catch a wave. So I'd say that it's a Rickenbacker. We like working with Fender and Gretsch.
Godin is great.
Godin, has always been great with us. So we only sell guitars made by nice people.
We try anyways.
Yeah. Who's
Hoffner guys? How are the Hoffner guys?
Hoppy guys, all right. We talked with a distributor,
Yeah.
and I talked to him on the phone today. So yeah, just an average sales experience.
It's a little hard to judge now because until maybe 5 years ago, they all had sales reps. So you got
Yeah.
to know your sale. They come visit you a few times a year, maybe less, but you get a personal relationship that show you stuff and talk, and you could make deals with the sales guy. Oh, we're having this special. It ended, but we can extend it for you. Or if you order one more piece, we'll give you a really good price. Now you don't get that. You get similar.
All parts actually now sucks to deal with. If you call them on the phone, they do not want to talk to you.
Oh, well.
The guy on the phone is like, "Yeah, what?" And it's like, "Can I order some stuff?" Order on the site, or I got a question. What? They were, of everyone I've spoken to recently on the phone, they're the most.
Well, I haven't had that problem,
ornery.
but I've been ordering online.
We've had to order online for the last year.
It's much easier.
It is easier with parts, that's true, but still, they have a Shopify site, That's
I don't know
don't
what
get me
that
started.
means.
Sir. All right, it's bad.
Okay.
Had good luck with Rickenbacker customer service, helping me identify my 4001. Maybe, maybe their customer service guy is, but ask him for a tailpiece for your Rickenbacker 4001, and he's no longer your friend. Because understandably, they hate, Rickenbackers were mimicked by Chinese companies. People would buy the R's, Rickenbacker trademark R, and put it on their Asian-made instrument.
Right.
And so they had to put a stop to that, and they are really nasty about trying to get certain parts.
Well, a similar story is Gibson, which as a small dealer especially, I always avoided because they are legendarily difficult to deal with, to the point where they'll ship you guitars you didn't order and insist if you want to be a dealer, you have to pay for these guitars to represent the line. So a lot of small dealers avoid them. A lot of big dealers get burned, but they have seems to be the best customer service in the world. I can't tell you how many times in the last 5 years or 10 years I've sent customers they come in with their brand new Gibson. Could you check the setup? And then it's fine, except it's always the neck.
Yeah.
The neck's a little funky. The truss rod is all the way on. And if it's, and it's got a little hump in it, blah, blah, blah. They call them up. They send them a new guitar. Sorry. And it's like, no problem.
I remember some guy walked in and go, oh, no, Gibson sent me a new one.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Gibson also has a lot better mood. Is in a lot better mood since their bankruptcy and reorganization. Because I remember dealing with them. I'm not dealing with them, but seeing them at the NAMM show. And 4 years ago, they're all like depressed. And then 3 years ago, they didn't even show up at the NAMM show. And then 2 years ago, they showed up and they were ready. They were like, woohoo! They're reinvigorated by getting rid of that damn CEO.
Yeah.
Henry, what's his name?
Jakowitz? No.
I don't remember his name, but
I forget. But I never dealt with him, so I don't know.
But yeah, he did terrible things at Gibson.
Yes.
He
bought all these companies. They're buying some Danish speaker company.
Yeah, they bought Blue microphones, and then they sold it back at a loss to the owner, to the guy who used to own Blue microphones. They bought Garrison guitars,
lots of bad,
and shut them down. Yeah. A lot of bad business ideas, and the Robotuners. Don't forget the Robotuners, folks. That's his fault.
Capitalism. Who can understand it?
Let me catch up with the chat here. Bartolini Pickups. Have you ever talked to them on the phone?
Ooh, yes. Boy, that takes me back. I would say their service was terrible, but I felt sorry for them. There's a period there where they're a tiny little company in Texas, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were family owned. I remember early on there were 3 people working there. One answering the phone, one printing catalogs, and one making pickups or something. And all of a sudden somebody, I don't know who it was, Marcus Miller or I don't know, said, Bartolini's are the best. And they got 1 million orders for pickups. And, me, I'm a little guy. I order a couple sets and all of a sudden they're not showing up for 8 months. And you get them on the phone, they're just going bonkers.
Yeah.
And then they got belligerent, and so we haven't talked to them in years.
Mm-hmm.
We
usually, in cases like that, we tell the end user, the customer, to actually talk to them instead of us calling them.
Yeah, lots of times they're more sympathetic.
They're more sympathetic if you're, but
the end customer.
They find out you're a guitar store, and they don't care.
Yeah, but they want their customers to be happy. Usually.
Yeah. Usually that's what you want in business.
Well, there's been lots of small guitar makers, luthiers, who have been notoriously difficult.
Yeah.
They're busy. They can't be bothered. I'm making guitars. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
When I get to yours, I'll let you know when it's done. Stop calling. And don't tell your friends to call, because I'm not talking to them.
I don't want to talk to them. Or the people looking for the guru. That was the guy from Smart Parts. Remember Smart Parts?
Wow.
He had bought he had a catalog back before the internet. He sent out a catalog with every single potentiometer he had in stock. The catalog was pretty thick and printed a new one every year. And it was kind of a funny catalog, very opinionated, like, you know, you can get this, but it sucks. Or this is the only thing. If you don't buy this, you're an asshole. And but he had this thing like, I'm not your guru. I'm not looking for to be your friend.
Right.
Call up, order the parts, hang up the phone.
Right.
Like, because you see his catalog, this guy's cool. Let's hang out. You know. Let's see here. I Barleys in my 70s P base. Barleys are good pickups, yeah.
Yeah, always were great.
The worst customer service is Nordstrand. They spent months lying about the pickups, and because of Nordstrand, my wife passed away not hearing what we both had designed. Wow.
I don't know who Nordstrom is. They make pickups?
Nordstrand.
I haven't seen the
Yeah.
name.
And they made him wait so long that that's weird. Sorry to hear that.
That's terrible.
Isn't any good seasonal sales promotions coming up? Is a question. Yes, the $99 guitar. So all of we have a whole rack here of guitars that were $119, $139, used PVs, a couple of used, like kind of
Squire or two.
Squire or something like that, and they were all priced at $100 and something, and they're all going to be $99.
And they all work.
And they all work.
I
We
went
actually
through 'em
fixed them, set them up.
Made them
So
work.
for Christmas time, if you want a $99 guitar, we have 5 of them.
Weren't you going to do a deal with a guitar and a little amp?
Yeah, and if you want
like
the little amp and a
$179 or
cable
something?
and everything together, we'll match something up. We'll
Right.
give you a deal.
Package deal.
So a better deal than that big box Ponzi scheme store that I
A
will
box
not
full of
mention.
crap for $179. Oh no, I'll take that back. Usually, if the guitar's okay, the amp's awful, or if the amp's awful, the guitar's okay.
Yeah, that's true.
You never get 2 good pieces in that box.
Yeah. Do you remember the Pan American guitars from the early 70s?
Nope.
No.
That was a
Like
brand.
Pan Am, the airline?
Pan American
Mm-hmm.
guitars. Pan
That's brand stretching. That's what they call brand stretching. Pan American.
Oh. Buy a ticket, get a guitar. No, haven't heard of that one. A lot of regional stuff doesn't make it to New England. Little companies in the Southwest or in Argentina or whatever.
Didn't back
They
then.
don't distribute this far. So there are brands that we like. Standells, made in California, limited small production, never appeared up here until they occasionally show up used.
All right. Well, that kind of wraps up the bad customer service part. Let's get on to.
Well, give me time. I'll think of some more.
Yeah. It was like, oh, I can't think of who's bad. Oh, yeah, they're bad. Oh, no, they shouldn't. Guild now, I don't know if Guild is. We had Guild shipped some bad guitars a couple of years ago.
When Fender owned them? Or
Nope, right after Fender owned them. That was the
Cordoba
overset necks.
bought 'em.
Yeah. Remember, we had a customer with an overset neck, and we're like, your neck set is too far back. Your saddle is as high as it could possibly be. They sent you a bum guitar, and I think they put out because then I went on like Reverb or stuff looking at Guilds, or for some reason I was researching Guild with an overset neck. I think they just made like 1,000 guitars and then they just made everyone eat them.
Oh, they wouldn't replace them.
They didn't replace the one that for the customer that we were talking
Because they're not
about.
cheap.
Yeah.
The Cordoba Guilds are like thousands of dollars, I think.
Because they have USA and then they have Asian made versions, and they have doing that game that everyo's doing.
Right. Well, the original ones were all USA, and I've always been a Guild fan because they were the poor man's Martin. And now it's like, oh, they are not the poor man's anything anymore.
And you'll up here, which just out of your line of sight, you'll see 2 beautiful Guilds, a D30 and a D50.
Yeah.
We have a couple used Guilds from the golden age of Guild.
Yeah.
From the
From
New
Rhode
England,
Island.
age of Guild.
Yeah.
So check those out if you're into Guild acoustics for sure. So one's a jumbo, one's a dreadnought. The dreadnought has the biggest neck on anything. If you like big necks,
Doesn't
and
look
you
really
cannot lie.
wide. Is it really round
yeah,
or
it's
something?
super round.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do this. I'm going to put this into Gary's hand, and you look at his face when he puts his hand around his neck. All right, so once again, wait, here it is. I'm gonna say, Gary, try out this guitar. Put your hand around the neck and see what you think.
Ooh, yeah. It's round. It's baseball
That
bat.
is huge.
That's what we used to call a baseball bat cut in half. There's no taper to it. It is just round.
Now, there's a little bit of taper because it gets crazy up here too.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just round. It's not like a D neck.
No. It's a round. It sounds tremendous.
That's a good sounding guitar.
It is a great sounding guitar. It's in nearly perfect condition.
No fancy bling. That's good.
Yeah.
Just guitar.
And we're selling it.
90s?
But you gotta love big necks.
Must be from the 90s.
90s, yeah. Early 90s, I think. I don't.
Westerly. Yeah, that's good. guitar.
That is a big neck.
Action's great.
So, like,
Very
if you
clean.
like the 50s Telly neck, this is the guild for you.
Now, I have big hands. It doesn't bother me, but it is striking.
Yeah.
It's like when you grab a really sharp V-neck or something. It's like, whoa, necks used to be like this.
When did the golden age of guild end? When Fender bought them, unfortunately.
I clearly remember reading the article in one of the trade magazines. Fender buys Guild. Uh-oh. They
And
promised to not do
change
anything.
anything.
We're going to keep the factory in Rhode Island. We're going to make the don't worry about it. Nothing.
We're just keeping this
We just
great
own
brand
it.
alive. Yeah.
6 months later, Guild moves to China. That's a pretty big move.
And the reason why, I did talk to one of our friends who was on the board at one time at Fender, and he really said, he goes, we intended to leave that factory open.
But there was
But
some
it triggered, the
problems.
purpose of it triggered an EPA evaluation of this old. It was an old factory when they moved in.
Yeah.
And it would be $1 million to save the factory, and they're just like, can't do it. And that's when they moved production. And they moved it a couple
You
times.
didn't have to go all the way to China.
Well, no, they moved it to that other factory, the Tacoma factory. Didn't they buy Tacoma as well or something?
They did, but I don't remember Guild going there.
Guild for just briefly was made there,
Wow.
and then it was made in China, and then it was made. Some of them were made in California, and some of them were made in China, and then there was a USA place. And they made a mess of
I
it.
didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So they sold it to Cordoba, and I suppose they got better.
Yeah, the Cordoba guy. Yeah, they're now they're stabilized. They're all right.
Right.
They're not the same as the old ones, but they're good guitars. They had modernized. It's all right to modernize. The old guitars are already there. You can innovate a bit. I had a Harmony Bobcat with a baseball neck. It seemed to forget about it after a few minutes. So one thing about the baseball neck, I wanted, while we're talking about necks, for some hands, it's not as intuitive that I have small hands, I need a small neck.
Yeah.
Sometimes a big neck works with a small hand better because it makes your hand fit right. It's just what you get used to too. I got some of my arch tops have huge necks, V neck, that big old V neck. That Gibson has a big neck, feels super comfortable.
The old Gibson?
Yeah, the 33 has a V-shaped, big old baseball bat of a neck. And it's great. It's a great feeling. So skinny, small necks aren't necessarily what you need for ease of play.
Right.
Sometimes, depending on it's how your hand interacts with the neck that makes the big difference. Yeah, the D50 was made in Rhode Island. Yeah, the one that we have here.
Yes.
Yeah. And then there's a 30 there too. Harmony Bobcat acoustic. The acoustic guitar is made in Southern California. I was told by my buddies who worked there. Oh yeah, so Lewis said he knew a couple guys who worked at Guild, and they were making guitars in Southern California. And yes, the nicer guitars were actually made in where are they? Corona.
Yeah, or Fullerton.
No, Corona. Yeah. But most of them were made in China. They couldn't sustain that production. which actually I thought I bought a Guild D25 from Gary. It was the greatest guitar, but the neck was so narrow I couldn't do any of my thing on it. Yes, Guild in the 80s had narrow, they went super narrow on the neck and still with a wide. Guild had a weird
bit.
And Steve, my brother Steve, who was out there listening, hopefully he still has his Guild because he had one of those cool, weird mahogany Guilds.
Was the D25 the one with the arched back with no bracing?
Yes.
That Mike Endicott called the Heaven or Hell guitar.
Yeah, that could be it. Yeah.
They're either great or they're awful. You never know until you try.
And now we started a Guild support group because everyone out in the chat's like, I had a Guild back in that.
Oh, everybody over 50
has had a Guild.
Has a Guild history.
Do I have? Oh, I have a Guild Electric and it's fabulous. Yeah.
Best acoustic
from
I
the
ever played
70s.
was I had a first year Guild, 1956.
Oh yeah,
I think it was D35. Beat to hell. I had it for a couple of years. It was great, and I traded it for a fretless bass that I kept for 6 months because I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back and starting, I think that's the best acoustic I ever played. I mean, it's been a long time, but.
Oh, Chris Takeo says Langgarden had a great one. Well, that's your opinion.
Or was that the one with the pickup in the fingerboard?
Pickup in the fingerboard.
Yes.
That one we sold. He sold it. We sold it for him.
He had that forever. Was that like his first?
He had it forever. Yeah, it was
something?
sold to him by Duke Levine's brother or something. It belonged to Duke Levine.
Yeah, he played that
because he was
ever.
He had that forever, but then he realized that it was holding him back when he got these nice Gibsons.
Right.
He's like, I think this Guild sucks. He's like, all these years, but Chris liked it, so there you go, Chris. Thanks for chiming in.
What's Chris's main electric guitar or Westbury?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, Chris, tell everyone in the chat what your idea of a really nice guitar is. Who makes that?
It's a duct tape Westbury.
It has is it a Ventura maybe? No, is it West? I don't know.
It's something like that.
Yeah, Chris.
But in his hands, sounds
great. So it's just he's just able to
I don't
make
know if Chris knows this, but Chris Pern once said about Chris Takeo, he's got the best hands of any guitar player I've ever seen.
Wow, that's a compliment too.
Hands. So I don't.
And then the famous Bobby Hearn quote. That okay, so I got this.
Every
other
word from Bobby's mouth starts with F.
Is F. So that fire trucking kid played so fire trucking fast you couldn't even fire truck hear him.
Right. I can connect that to next because one of my favorite quotes from Bobby is that effing neck is so fast I can't keep up.
I can't keep up. The neck's so fast I can't even keep up. The Electra.
Thank you.
Also Daredevil's girlfriend. Back in the comic book.
Yes.
Yeah, and so Chris is into the Electra because Chris's problem was he was having great guitars and pawning them.
Right.
And so if he had a guitar that he could never pawn, then
nobody would take you.
No one would take it. Yeah.
The beat to hell cheap guitar.
Yeah, you bought it from you, I think.
Yeah, probably. But
for a couple $100,
we
fixed it up, made it work, and it's been his main guitar ever since.
Parts on it,
and you can't part it. We're gonna have to cremate you with it when the day comes because you can't pawn it.
There was Bobby Hearn's 21-hole.
Yeah, the Stratocaster. Yeah. So, let's see here. But did he put a Bigsby on that or something?
The Electra?
Yeah. Anyways, that's
that.
For everyone not who doesn't know.
Chris can't afford a Bigsby.
Sorry. He has 4 kids or something. So yeah, that's
at least 4.
He'll never, but they're growing up, so. But
you don't see Chris very often. He lives a few hours from here.
Yeah, works at a different store too. Right. Yeah.
But he's an old friend and one of the best guitar players we know.
Yeah, great guitar player, that's for sure, and organ player as well.
Yeah, well, yes, I should.
He's a great organ player because he started as a guitar player, so he's just plays the important stuff on the organ. He doesn't. It's not too showy. Just plays the fun stuff. All right, let's catch up with the chat. See where we are. Electra. Someone's just marveling at the Electra. All right, so we're caught up with the chat. Oh, Steve says he still has the Guild, so that's That's good news. Yeah, Mike Guild Electric is just tremendous guitar.
Which model is
The
it?
X77.
Oh, you have an X. Oh,
77, which is an odd one. They only made
Yeah.
it for a few years in the 70s.
does Larry know about this?
Does Larry, which Larry?
Uh,
Oh, Larry the
Because he's
collector.
way into those.
Oh yeah,
Those
well
pointy
it's
gills
left-handed.
and stuff. Oh, even more.
No, it's not. It's not pointing. It's just an X.
Oh, okay.
It's a semi-hollow body, but
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I can't think of that
they
one.
had a weird lettering thing for a while.
Hmm.
I'm watching him play the Electra right now. Okay, so I guess Jim must have Googled Chris or something. Playing his Electra, yeah. And that amp you settled on too, but we're not going to pick on Chris anymore. Anyone heard of Emily Remler?
Oh, yeah.
Who is it?
She was.
Remler?
I think she passed away not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
She was a well-regarded jazz guitarist in the 70s. If I remember right, more in the a little more in the fusion era than I care for, but
The Confusion era.
yeah, a very good player. But a woman in a scene at that time that didn't have many women
at all, right? Yeah.
I mean, even before that, there were sort of women in jazz, but
Yeah.
that whole fusion thing.
But yeah, well, that's the thing. There were women in jazz, but it was Blossom Dearie.
Yeah.
Just barely touching the piano, singing sweet songs. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't playing fusion guitar. For
So
sure.
she was kind of unique at the time. She was, on the cover guitar player. She was fairly well known in the jazz world. Great player, but sort of destined for obscurity. And then I think after the 70s, she had 30 or 40 years of, playing for not much money in somewhere.
Yeah.
And then I think I just heard she passed away in the past couple of years, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I don't hope that's true. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And
So yeah, we're not gonna. We won't.
Yeah, I know about her a bit.
Yeah. Okay. We'll check her out. Chris. Jim said he's watching Chris play a Electra through a Leslie. Yeah, Chris will play anything through a Leslie. That's the other thing.
No reason not to.
Yeah. Everything sounds better through a Leslie.
People sing through them occasionally, right?
Yeah, John Lennon.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, it comes back to the Beatles. We should just do an entire episode about Beatle guitars, as far as I'm concerned. Or Beatle instruments too, the Rhodes and the, like I said, the pianet. They used the Lowry organ, not just the Hammond organ. They had a Lowry organ. They kind of
was that
preferred on some stuff.
What's his face in the band? Did he like Lowry's?
Oh yeah, Garth Hudson. Garth Hudson played a Lowry because he wanted to be different.
Yeah, I didn't want to sound like everybody else with the Hammond.
But Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds thing, that's a Lowry organ.
Oh.
Because they had one at Goodwill. And I walked over, I'm like, that's a Lowry organ. I turn it on, I got that sound on, and I played it. I'm like, damn it.
It's the roller skating rink sound, right?
Mm-hmm. No, this one was like a little combo. It was the same model. I should have bought it. It was Goodwill for $100, but I was like, where am I going to put another organ? The time I owned 3.
On top of one of the others.
Yeah. 1990, Emily died, according to Doug Bennett. Doug Bennett's out there. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Hi, Doug.
Yes, a Beatle episode. Well, maybe that's next time Chris Lammy, since he's a Beatle head too, next time he guest hosts, we will have a Beatle Fest. Yeah.
I think there's a book, isn't there?
There are several books.
A lot of guitar collectors, that's what they collect is all the Beatle gear.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's all they want.
That's why I can't buy. Well, that's the reason I can't buy a Yamaha bass. Yeah, the B2000. Yeah. I thought they were good basses. I had a friend in college that had one. I really liked it. He bought it at Martin's.
Yeah.
Because it was just just a closeout or something. So he bought it. That was a great bass, and I would like to have one. But because Paul McCartney played one, you can't find them anywhere. All right.
Thank you, Paul.
Yes. All right, so it's wrap it up time. It's 7. It's been an hour already. It's that time again. You wasted another perfectly good hour.
Let's see, you hardly even badmouth any of their guitars. Just a little bit on the Hoffner.
And the Rickenbacker. And the 330.
No, I didn't be bad. You said I didn't like him, but I didn't say anything bad about it.
No, Mr. Faulty.
I could.
You say I know nothing, but I try.
I learned.
um, anyways, please subscribe, like, Instagram, Facebook. Definitely think about coming to that this Saturday at WSCA in the afternoon, 2:30, the TJ clinic workshop. It's going to be worth it. And send us a message if you want to go.
Isn't there some live streaming connected to this too?
Live streaming connected to it? Oh yeah. Well, I'm not live streaming, but we're going to record it.
Oh,
sure.
So it will be.
So it will be on YouTube later for those
but
of
if
you
you want
who
to
can't
participate in the workshop.
Oh yeah, you should come and participate.
And bring your guitar, preferably your acoustic.
Bring an acoustic guitar if you can, or want to kind of learn some stuff and mimic some stuff. It's going to be an intimate. The workshop's going to be intimate, at least. I don't know about the concert part.
Maybe 20 people, maybe
for the concert, maybe because that room doesn't fit hardly. I'm guessing the workshop might be between 6 and 12 people.
Right.
That might be it. So a great way to learn. And so I think we covered everything. So time to say goodnight, Gary.
Yes, good night, everybody. Thank you.
And stand by for the end.